Hello, everyone. How are you? Hope you're having an incredible day, and may peace be upon you. And welcome to the show. It takes courage. With me, your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. And today we have a special episode, and our episode will be featuring the authors from the Voices for Impact book project, and we're going to be focusing on the theme of courageous stories that change the world. And this book is available on Amazon, and it is organized by Global Girls Glow. And Global Girls Glow is a nonprofit dedicated to empowering girls around the world to bravely share their voices and be a brave leader and hopefully have some rippling impact in the community. Before we start, let's take a look at what Global Girls Glow is all about.
In communities around the world and even in the United States, girls face challenging barriers to achieving their potential. Barriers to education, economic opportunity, basic health needs, and education about their bodies. Girls know what girls need, and at Global Glow, we listen. We give them the supports and tools to advocate for themselves and for their communities. The simple truth: educating and empowering girls is the single best investment we can make to bring about a more just, equitable, and flourishing world. Global Glow is a nonprofit organization that creates and operates innovative mentoring programs for girls ages 10 to 18. Since 2012, we've been working with local community leaders across the U.S. and in over 27 countries worldwide. Through girl-led initiatives, leadership opportunities, and our work with the United Nations, we amplify girls' voices to drive social change. Right now, in Global Glow Clubs worldwide, there are over 15,000 girls gaining confidence, speaking out, and transforming their communities. These girls are tomorrow's leaders. They are the best investment we can make in our future. Join us today. Let's remove the barriers that are holding girls back. To support our work or learn more about what we do, please visit our website. We are Global Glow.
Okay, that is Global Girls Glow, a quick introduction. So let's bring the authors of the book, Voices for Impact, up onto the stage. Oh, I had it like upside down. Okay, let me bring up Crystal, Laura, as well as our youth advocate here, Nakaya. So welcome, ladies, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
It's
We're
my
happy to be here.
pleasure. My pleasure. And Laura has some technical difficulties. She is able to have voice, but for some reason her camera is turned off. But that's okay. It's voices that impact. So she is
That's right.
impacting us through her voices. So first off, let's focus on giving a spotlight to our first author of Voices for Impact. And this is like the first book that Global Girls Glow has, come up about, and such a special book because it's about sharing your voice unapologetically, and it combines various stories, tips, practical from incredible women, and as well as our youth advocates. So if you haven't got a copy, go and grab it on Amazon. You can scan the QR code there or grab it on Amazon. All right, ladies, I'm going to pop you in the backstage while I first bring in Crystal to the stage. So stay tuned. Laura and Nakaya will come back to you shortly. Okay, Crystal, let's get straight to the point here.
Okay.
What was your moment when you decided to stop holding back and truly use your own voice?
Oh, such a good question. Well, this project is so important to us because it emulates everything we do at Global Girls Glow, in that we just are so delighted to help create programs and opportunities for youth to use their voices, and in so doing, find their voices. So in thinking about this question, I was reminded of our research model, not to get too technical, but our research model says that the more opportunities you practice using your voice, the stronger your power gets, right? So the more you do it, the higher and higher and better you get at using your voice. And I think, when I was about 12 is kind of the earliest time I can remember really pushing forward to use my voice. I was, we lived with my family on a dead end street, and there was a parade. So it was like 4th of July or something, right? People are throwing candy, and I'm the oldest of 5. They're gathering the candy. And I remember looking at my little sister and watching her squint. And there's this giant tree above us. I remember seeing her kind of squint at the tree, and I thought, well, that's weird. And so I told my parents, I think she needs glasses. And my parents said, no, that's crazy. No one in our family wears glasses. Why on earth would anyone in our family ever need glasses? We have perfect eyes, they said. And I was like, well, that's a weird thing to say, first of all. But also, no, I think, like, I was really, and I was reflecting on that and thinking, if it had been me asking for something I needed, I would have stopped right there, right? But because it was my sister, I said, no, I really fought for it, and I brought it up again like a couple days later, and I brought it up again a month later, until finally my parents took her in to get an eye exam, and she did in fact need glasses. And I just thought that was, and the reason that it's really important that we were like under this tree and on this street is that my sister said to me maybe a month later, I didn't realize that there are leaves on trees. I thought they were just big blobs. Now that I have glasses, I can finally see the individual leaves on trees. And it was really important for me to go to remember oh yes, I need to use my voice. But also in reflecting on that, I'm reminded that sometimes it's so much easier to use your voice for other people. And as I'm thinking about the times when I did and really stuck to it, it was always for other people, and in such a good way. I think many of us wonderful females would put ourselves in that camp, right, where we're still not quite sure if our life is as important or as ours to own in every way, but advocating for others, and especially family and those we love and care about, is I think one of the most natural and exciting ways to use our voices. And also, I'll just say, in my 40s now, I'm really pushing myself to start advocating for myself more too. But
Yes. That is key as well, Crystal, like for yourself and also for the people. But one of the few things that I learned from your story is that, you had an observation, right, with your sister of squinting her eyes. Like you had an observation of and then asking yourself, well, why is she squinting? And then, from that observation probably comes an instinct, or maybe she needs glasses. But as well as from that observation and that instinct is voicing it out to your parents. Hey, I think she needs glasses. So actually having the act or taking action of voicing it out, and then being persistent when they say no, or they say, that's nobody wears glasses. And look at us now.
Look at us, right? Look at us now.
Glasses. So I feel those are the keys, Crystal, and having an observation and then trusting your instinct. Like in our previous conversation, we talked about trust and what is the key ingredient that makes Global Girls Go so special, is creating that trust.
Yeah.
and then voicing it out or taking action. Sometimes actions can be, you probably may not need for you to use your voice. Let's say, sending an email, you don't need to speak up necessarily of your voice, but it takes some form of taking action and then being persistent
Yeah.
of it, like over and over again. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, Crystal, that you are advocating for yourself as well, because how many of us in our career, in our business, in our relationship have got the observation, hey, something feels off, but then stop ourselves from voicing it out. Hey, I
That's
think
right.
that we need to discuss this part because you said this and this is this, and we've already delivered the job, but you made however way. I think that is key. So thank you so much for reminding us for that. And also, Crystal, you wrote the conclusion
I
for the
did.
book Voices for Impact. Can you just give us like a quick reminder and refresher what you wrote about in the conclusion here?
Yeah, well, I would love for you all to read it, but it is really just about how Global Girls Glow is making an impact in the world. So less about me and more about this great organization that I have the honor of leading. We work, for those of you who don't know, or we weren't listening to the video, we work in 30 countries around the world. And so taking the time and really understanding in each unique place, what are the things that are really preventing girls from owning their voice and rising to their true potential, and then assisting them with mentorship and opportunities to use their voice and to advocate and to do all the things to create a life of their own design, is what we say. We want all girls to know and believe that they can create a life that they've designed, and that it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks or wants or needs from them. We want them to be able to follow their dreams and their own path. So that's what
Brilliant.
my chapter is about. Read it for a lot more details. But thank you so much for letting me be a part of this project and for doing this project with us. It wouldn't have been possible without you, Dr. Jamil. We're
Oh,
really
thank
grateful.
you. It is my pleasure. Such joy to, have Global Girls Glow having something tangible,
Yeah.
something that you can hold, something you can
Yeah.
see. This is what you do. You have videos and everything, but there's something about having something tangible and reading and gifting it to people. And while we're at it, I've actually opened up the conclusion. And the first line that Crystal wrote was, join us in empowering the next generation of unstoppable voices.
Yeah.
Together, we can make the world a place where every girl has the confidence to raise her voice and change the world. So thank you so much for that, Crystal. And
You're so
I'll pop
welcome.
you back in for the backstage, for the green room in just a moment. And don't go away, we'll come back again, okay? So let me just pop you back in. And let's bring now our next author, who is Laura. So Laura is here with us. Well, she actually doesn't live too far away from me. She's in somewhere in LA, and I'm in Orange County. So how this book came about was that I got an unexpected email from Laura, not this summer, but last summer gone. So I don't know Laura, I've never met her, but I got an unexpected email. And then in my mind, I was like, oh gosh, this is another pitch. Is it another pitch for TEDx idea? Because I'm the curator for TEDx Huntington Beach, and I get a bunch of those of people pitching. But there was something energetically that pulled me to this email that led me to open it. And, like opening it and reading it and feel a sense of connection. But I think what really sold me was how I see my daughter Nadra, who's 11 now, like how I see her through Global Girls Glow eyes. What's possible for Nadra, having had the privilege or having had the mentorship of Global Girls Glow. So that what connected me, and that what led us to conversations and events together, and then just like what Crystal's story with her little sister under the tree watching the parade and squinting her eyes, is having an observation, having an instinct, and having the courage to speak up. Hey, I feel that it would be valuable for the organization to have a book that can be tangible and capture what Global Girl is about. But thank you also to Laura, who's open to all these ideas and the conversations and the emails. So Laura, welcome and thank you for being here.
Well, and thank you for indulging me with my technical inabilities.
No, Laura, she was just fine about an hour ago. She popped in for another session to support us. Everything works perfectly. Her camera, her audio, but it's okay. This is Voices for Impact. So she is honing in on her voice. So, Laura, let's get straight to the point. And let me ask you, what practical steps do you recommend for someone struggling to speak their truth with confidence?
I got this. I love this question because it's, goes to the heart of being a comfortable leader. And I know so many amazing women when you get in intimate settings, girls, they're willing to, my own daughters, they're willing to share their ideas. But if you put them on a stage or you want them to talk in front of a group or speak to someone in authority, they get so nervous. And I experienced this when I got an opportunity to become the executive director of my first organization. And I put together this amazing panel at UCLA of all of these amazing women CEOs, but I had to lead it and, kind of open it up. And there were 400 people, and I'd never done public speaking before. And so I, just practiced in the mirror. And then I grabbed a friend and practiced with her a little bit and, shared my facial expressions, and she gave me some feedback. And I just, memorized my talk, practicing it a few times. And that's really what gave me more confidence to be able to go out and talk, was just being willing to practice both to myself in the mirror and to find a friend, and to be willing to kind of put the preparation in. I also think what I've gotten better at over time, in terms of being comfortable sharing my truth, is recognizing that everyone in the audience really wants to get something for their time in sitting there and listening to you. And so being vulnerable and letting them know that you're a person too, when you're on stage, saying things like, "Hi guys, I am so nervous. This is really scary. I have never done something like this before," or just sharing how you're feeling or what you're excited about. I think humbling yourself and making yourself relatable, to the audience can really help. And I've gone on to do hundreds of events since then and become a very comfortable speaker. But I think that's where it started, was really just being, willing to go, okay, if I have to speak to people, let me just organize my thoughts, write them down, and practice what I want to say so that it feels like riding a bicycle. I've said it a number of times. I've practiced it in the mirror. I've practiced it with a friend. Now it's not so scary.
Absolutely. And then it becomes not so scary. But you touch on a really important point, Laura, that some people can just get up and just speak, right? Da 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 da, and it looks amazing. But sometimes it's just God-given ability. But for 99% of us, it really is a scary experience. And you touch base on the effort that you need to do behind the scenes to go for something. It's not just, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do, and then it could be a disaster because you didn't put in the effort that is necessary. Like Laura, she sat down, she gathered her thoughts, she wrote things down, she practiced in front of the mirror, she grabbed a friend, practiced in front of a friend, and then she, went on the stage. And one of the things that I was taught, because I get really nervous on speaking as well, because coming from my culture, we don't speak. we listen and do what we're told. So speaking on stage is absolutely like, I would rather cook for 30 people than speak, like in front of people. But it's the effort. And I was told by Jean-Louis Rodriguez, who is the #1 body movement coach in the world. He trains all the Hollywood A-listers, the one that win the Oscars, he trains them. And he told me that the best thing you can do is practice in front of an audience, or practice where you are going to give the talk. So if you're going to give a talk on a stage, then practice on stage. So you start to embrace the physicality. If you're going to speak on, let's say, because you train actors, like Margot Robbie, Leonardo DiCaprio, all award-winning actors, and it's like, okay, practice it where the environment is going to be. Like practicing from the mirror is great, but you need to also get into the physicality of things. So, and he stresses out the practice part, like practice, 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 practice. So thank you, Laura, for pointing that one out. It's the same with your voices. You got to practice speaking it up. You got to practice writing it down, or before you write an email, you got to practice like organize your thoughts, let it sit for a moment. And for me, sometimes I put it into AI, hey, edit this part just to make sure that it sounds, clear. Sit down, like Laura said, organize your thoughts, practice, and then
But
take
it's
the
amazing what that does for your confidence, right? Because you've practiced and you know what you want to say, you've organized it, you feel more confident. Whereas if you wing it, of course you're going to be nervous.
yeah. Of course you're going to be nervous. Of course you're going to say something that you're not supposed to say. And there's a fine line, Laura, when you kind of like wing it, or you start vomiting things on stage, you start to lose the interest, the connection with the people, because they're not, because you're just like, wow, like
Yeah.
vomiting things. But I wanted to get back to your chapter here. So Laura wrote a chapter here, and the chapter is called Saying No to an Easy Yes, How I Learned to Let Instinct Guide the Way. So let's quickly give a tip or a lesson that you have about instinct.
I think that when you're young, and I mean, I'm almost 50 and I still feel very young. So I think this applies. But, you just sometimes don't know if you're the right one to make the decision, and your gut comes up and leans you in a certain direction. And often I think as women, we question that or go, oh, maybe I should listen to this voice or that voice. What I really learned here is your gut really knows you and is pointing you in the right direction. And you really need to listen when that gut shows up. That's like a little protector inside of you showing up saying, hey, this is me telling you with a physical reaction, this is what I want. Now, maybe you have to massage that, or maybe you have to, think about how to chart that course forward, but not denying what's in your gut. For me, that led me to choosing the perfect school for me, and everything in my upbringing was sort of pointing, you should go to this Ivy League school, but I got to it and I didn't like it. And my gut was like, this is going to be more fun for you. This is where you are right now. This is the place you need to be. And I, despite what some of the authorities in my life wanted me to do, decided, yeah, I'm going to listen to my gut. And I'm glad that I did. And it led me to meeting so many of my best friends, to picking the career that I have. And so I think just making sure that you feel confident that no matter, how old you are or where you are in your life, your gut is really a very strong guide that needs to be listened to.
Brilliant. Thank you. And you're listening to your gut, and you're often being shown certain things, right? To kind of in making the right decision. And don't worry if you make the wrong decision, you can always be guided to making the right one in terms of course correcting. And sometimes it's just a lesson that needs to be learned, and sometimes it's just something wonderful that happens. But trusting your gut to make the decisions. And sometimes when you make the decisions for you, especially when you are in a leadership role, it's hard to make a decision because you're like, okay, what do these people think? What do the VP of this think? What do the manager think? Sometimes it's hard to make a decision, but when you trust your instinct, it's always going to lead you to a better place. And I feel that sometimes, Laura, people are thankful that you're making the decisions on their behalf just because it's one thing off their plates. Like they don't have to think about things so much. It's being taken care of by Laura. It's been taken care of by Izdihar. And they can just take care of what they need to take care. Like example, like leading and curating this book. It's hard to make the decisions, but, I made the decisions. And one of the things that we talked about before, Laura, you say, I'm so thankful I'm not leading this project because all the decisions and the guidelines are being laid out, and you can just play. You can just contribute to your best expertise. So thank you, Laura, for highlighting about trusting your gut in making decisions, the best decision. And even if you make a mistake, like Laura, you actually went to that school, right? The
I
Ivy League.
did. And
Yeah.
it was the absolute right place for me to be at that time, for sure. And I also, this is something we talk about in Glow Club all the time. You want to make a life of your own design, right? The high school I'd gone to, my parents, my college counselor, they all thought, hey, this is a great school. And it would have been a great school.
Mhm.
But the life I wanted to design, I had some principles in mind that really led me to find that other school more attractive. And so that's, what I listen to. And I think even when you make a choice that ends up being wrong, you get to say, yeah, but I owned that choice. And so you're not blaming anybody else. You're just saying, at least I had the confidence to make a choice for me.
Brilliant. All right. So you can check out Laura's story in the book Voices for Impact. It's available on Amazon, or you can scan the QR code to grab a copy. So thank you, Laura, for the conversation. I'll bring you back up in a moment. And now I want to bring Nakaya up to the stage. And Nakaya is our youth advocate at Global Girls Glow. And she actually went through the Global Girls Glow program and now I believe in your sophomore year at college, Nakaya?
Yes, I am. I am a sophomore at Howard University.
Fantastic. And just earlier, we had Taylor in our previous episode, who happens to be Nakaya's junior, who's also an advocate for Global Skills Glow. So, Taylor, thank you for being here and thank you for taking the time away from college. Can I just say that you look fantastic, like really polished, really like coming across, ready to go, ready to roll. So, thank you so much for being here. And let's get straight to the point here, Nakaya. How has being part of Global Girls Glow helped you to find the courage to lead and speak up?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things that Global Girls Glow has done for me and probably other young women and girls is that they created the space for us to feel comfortable enough to share our hopes, our dreams, and even some of the challenges we may be facing personally or within our community. So I think often for younger generations, having those spaces is a reminder to us that our voices do matter and the things that we care about do matter. So the first half of that is them just being in existence, right? So you have all these girls around the world in different clubs and schools and fellowship programs who are able to be a part of the change that they want to see. So that's the first half of it for me personally. And then the second half, it's the power of sisterhood, right? So when I was in Glow Club in high school, we had all of the young ladies in my high school coming together doing different projects for our communities. And even now, having the opportunity in college to speak about some of the amazing opportunities I've had. So that sisterhood and being able to make change with other young women who look like you and care about similar things, it reminds us that together we're stronger. So the existence of Global Girls Glow and then being able to do it with other peers and like you mentioned Taylor, hearing that we're all still connected and doing all that we have been able to do is really amazing.
That is so awesome, and kind of like seeing the safe space that Global Girls Glow was able to create for your girls. And you're in America, so people would assume that you have everything that you need for you to go yourself out there. But it is the connection, it is the sisterhood, it is the relationship, it is the trust that combines together, and having that, would you say, Nakaya, like having that constant sisterhood, because it's not just a one-off thing, it's not just a once a year meeting, but the nurturing. And was it like throughout your high school, or was it like
So yeah,
school?
I did Glow Club junior year and then senior year of high school. And then last year I became a youth advocate. So it's kind of like our fellowship program. So being still in community with other people has been something that it's incredibly inspiring. And just knowing that there are other like-minded young women and girls who have big dreams and goals and want to impact their community, it's one of my favorite things.
Brilliant. So, Nakaya, I know we didn't prepare for this, but I wonder, like, from your personal experience, have you seen anything that happened either to yourself or within to the other sisters, or even to the community that happens as a result of young girls sharing their voices bravely.
I know one of my fondest moments was in high school when we had the opportunity to speak to our elementary students and seeing the other youth. We had the opportunity to read to them. So we would read to them, volunteer, and when they just the excitement on their faces, we're excited to go spend time with the 5-year-olds and the 6-year-olds, but they're also incredibly excited to see us come and read to them and just spend time with them. So it's not always something huge. It can just be somebody else smiling because they're seeing that you're willing and able to spend time with them. That was one of my favorite things. Also in high school, we focused a lot on mental health, and I think that's something that's been incredibly impactful in my generation, is being vocal about our mental health and what we're willing to, sacrifice and what we're not willing to sacrifice. So just having conversations and being vocal about the direct impact with our communities and then our personal mental impact are some of the things that it was very evident in our community, in our school, that these things matter and they are shaping the space we walk in.
Brilliant. And that is so cool to see that something, it doesn't have to be anything big. You don't have to climb Everest to make a statement. That it can just be reading to elementary school. It can just be as simple as helping an elderly crossing the road. It can be as simple as helping, someone pushing their trolley from Costco because they're struggling with their bags. It can just be anything, but having the courage to speak or to act or to, in a way, give something good or help other people. I think that's also, such a rewarding thing to see for our community. Okay, Nakaya, let's bring up the rest of the ladies as we conclude our conversation here. Okay, first of all, as a quick reminder that Global Girls Glow is a non-profit organization, and their mentorship program, their advocacy program, and so many incredible things that they do would not have happened without your help and support. So if you would love to donate to Global Girls Glow or sponsor a girl, I believe the mentorship program is a year for $200. I believe that, Crystal and Laura can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's also so many other ways that you can contribute, either by referring people or letting people know about Global Girls Glow. Okay, so ladies, let's wrap up with very quickly a tip and a lesson. Let's start with Crystal here. A tip and a lesson from the book on how people can be unapologetic in sharing your voice. Oh, I think you're on mute. Are you on mute, Crystal?
So sorry. I was definitely on mute. Yeah, I think just listening to your gut and saying the thing, what's the quote? Saying the thing even when your voice shakes. Just go for it. I don't know who said the quote. I would credit that right now, but it's a good one. Yeah, listen to your gut and say the thing even if your voice shakes.
Brilliant. Just like in her story earlier, Crystal, of like observing, trusting your instincts, speak up, and being persistent. So that's kind of like the things. Okay, Nakaya, what would be your tip for people to be brave in sharing their voices with clarity, compassion, but also, being clear in what they're intending to?
I think my tip would be that we're all on this earth for a reason, and we all have our own unique experiences and stories. And so that's just enough to be able to be vocal about things that matter to you, because 9 times out of 10 somebody else may be experiencing it. And so you being proud enough to share your story and know that you're on this earth for a purpose, with a purpose, is motivation to keep going and be vocal about the things that matter to you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And also, Nikaya, like Global Girls Glow is an organization, like talk is cheap, but Nikaya is here as the result or the proof in the pudding. So all the work that goes behind the scene are because of Nikaya and Taylor and, Sangeeta and all those ladies. Oh, which reminds me, let me quickly show a video of Sangeeta here, who is one of the girls that's benefiting from Global Girls Glow.
नमस्ते, मेरो नाम संगीता कोर हो। म चाहिँ 13 वर्ष भए। म चाहिँ गाउँमा चाहिँ मान्छेहरूको धेरै पुरानो सोच हुन्छ उनीहरूलाई त पछि भविष्यमा गएर कति भन्छन् केटी केटा केटी केटा भन्छन् केटीले समाजमा धेरै बाधाहरू हुन्छ नि केटीले यो गर्नु हुँदैन केटीले त्यो गर्नु हुँदैन केटीले यस्तो गर्नुहुन्न यस्तो बोल्नुहुन्न यसरी बस्नुपर्छ के त्यो सब चाहिँ पहिला त जे पनि राइट हो जस्तो लाग्थ्यो अनि पनि यो पनि गलत हो त्यो पनि गलत हो यो पनि गलत हो जस्तो लाग्थ्यो राइट हो जस्तो लाग्थ्यो तर अहिले त म सबै के गलत के सही भनेर छुटाउन सक्छु अनि पछि ममा चाहिँ कन्फिडेन्ट बढेको छ अहिले जसले केटी भनेर केटाकेटी भनेर हेप्छन् अनि मेरो बाबालाई चाहिँ जसले उ गरेछन् नि त्यसलाई चाहिँ म तिनीहरूलाई देखाउन चाहन्छु कि यसको छोरी जस्तो हुनुपर्छ है हामीले पनि यस्तो केटी हुनुपर्छ केटी केटा भएर के भएर केटा यो मेरो ग्लो क्लबले चाहिँ मेरो मात्र जीवनमा परिवर्तन नभएर धेरै केटीहरूको र धेरै अन्य ठाउँहरूमा पनि धेरै चेन्जेस ल्याएको छ त्यसको लागि चाहिँ ग्लो क्लबलाई भेरी भेरी थ्याङ्क यू सो मच ग्लो क्लबलाई चाहिँ जति तारिफ गरे नि पुग्दैन ग्लो क्लब चाहिँ सबै स्कुलहरूमा सबै देशमा सबै ठाउँमा हुनुपर्छ भन्ने जस्तो लाग्छ
Oh, that's so heartwarming to see. Very, very thank you so much, Global Girls School Club.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I would just love to say real quick, I love that video and I love hearing from Nikaya today. But the thing that I love most about Global Glow is that Nikaya and Sanjita and Taylor already have everything they need inside of them. The great thing about Glow Club and Global Glow is that we just get to come along and like lift them up so that they have a place to say all the great things that are already in their heart and soul and self.
Yeah, absolutely. So you basically have, given them a Ferrari to drive and they just have to drive that Ferrari.
I wish I could give them all Ferraris. That would be a really great day. I would do that.
Like, something valuable. They already have it inside of them.
That's right. They already have it inside of them.
Put the key on and hit the drive.
That's right.
I myself haven't driven a Ferrari yet. Maybe that's one of the things we should do, Crystal, huh? Yeah, go book a Ferrari.
I have also never driven a Ferrari, but it seems like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, one of these days we're probably going to rent a Ferrari or Porsche or whatever and just like drive, at 20 miles per hour because we don't want to step on the gas. But basically, Nakaya and Taylor and Sangeeta, you already are the Ferraris and the Porsche or the Louis Vuitton of the bag.
Yeah,
you just need to hit the pedal to the metal and drive away with it. Or with a Louis Vuitton bag, you just need to wear it. There's no point having a bag and not wearing a Louis Vuitton bag. Laura, what about you? What is your tip to be unapologetic in sharing your voices?
Well, I was thinking about this before our conversation today, and I think the big thing that I want to share is that it's really helpful when you're facing like a big decision, just to visualize the possible outcomes and which one sits best with you. Sometimes, when you're trying to figure out what to say and what to do, if you can just say, okay, well, if I said this, what do I think will happen? And if I said this, what do I think will happen? And then just let yourself kind of picture those outcomes and let your gut tell you, well, that's the vision and that's the outcome that I'd love to have most or I'm most comfortable with. And that can be a really great way for you to build your confidence and trust yourself in moving forward.
Absolutely, just stretching yourself to move forward. And speaking of our younger generation, when I was at Singapore, we were out at a mall just outside of the Marina Bay, and then my kids were like, "Mom, let's go to Louis Vuitton." I'm like, "Louis Vuitton? Okay, all right, sure, we'll go into the Louis Vuitton and just run through." And then I really like this keychain that they showed on display on the Louis Vuitton. So I went and asked the salesperson, "Hey, I really like this keychain. How much it is?" And then the salesperson was like, "We do not sell the keychain on its own. We sell it as part of the bag, and the bags are $10,000. I'm like, "Oh, I just need a keychain." And is it crystal? Is it jade? No, they're just plastic. I'm like, okay. So I think like the courage when you start to use your voices is actually having the ability to say no. Like, not being persuaded by the perception of things that you need to have a Louis Vuitton bag just to get the keychain, or you need to have a Louis Vuitton bag to be something or someone. Like whatever that you have is perfect, right? It's perfect. And I actually found a keychain that I like just down the store for $10. Not $10,000. Okay,
I think of it a little bit too, like, right, what happens a lot with girls in our glow clubs, they're told that girls don't matter. And so they could sit there and go, okay, what happens if I'm sitting here at the kitchen table and I don't speak up? I'll go back to my room. I'll feel sad. I'll feel like that what they said is true. Or if I speak up, maybe someone's going to say something back at me, but I'm going to feel proud of myself because I said my truth. And so getting to visualize those different outcomes and then go, which one do I prefer, can really help people make a decision that feels good for them.
Yeah. Okay. So let's wrap it up with then. Fill in the blanks. I said my truth when. I said my truth when. So fill in the blank. Let's start with Nakaya. I said my truth when.
I said my truth when. That's a good one. I said my truth when I joined Glow Club.
Ooh. I'm sure Crystal paid you for that, right?
No. Under the table.
One bag is coming your way from Crystal. Absolutely. Like I said my truth when I joined a Glow Club, and I feel, Nakaya, correct me if I'm wrong, it is the safe space. It is the sisterhood that you mentioned. It is the being listened to. It is being, I mean, is that kind of like you said your truth when that happens?
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Okay, Crystal, I said my truth when?
When I don't back down.
Said my truth when you don't back down. And sometimes you just need to take a pause or a breath and then, saying your truth. Brilliant. Keep going. Okay, Laura, I said my truth when?
I decided I wanted to make a job out of helping people instead of just being a lawyer like I originally thought I was going to be.
That would be, I could picture you in suits, Laura.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I thought I wanted to do. And then I started to do it and I didn't think it was, it didn't match up to kind of the vision that I had of what that was going to be like. And I really always enjoyed working in communities and helping people. So now I feel like I've spoken my truth and I get to do what I feel I'm here meant to do.
Brilliant. And it led you to so many incredible people and opportunities when you said your truth to what.
That's right.
What you said, your reality and your expectation didn't match when you went to that Ivy League school. I mean, it's perfectly great school, absolutely, but it just didn't match.
And not being afraid when you see something that doesn't match with what you thought it was, to be like, oh, you know what? I don't like that. I'm gonna pivot.
Yeah, I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna choose something else.
Yeah.
Which is, I think people just kind of think, Laura, that there's no other choices.
Right.
Like, is that so? There's no other choices. Like, a $10,000 Louis Vuitton bag to get a keychain, or just a $10 keychain with the crystals and the there are other choices in life. So ladies, I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here. And for those of you who haven't got a copy, go grab a copy of Voices for Impact, available on Amazon. And the proceeds that from the purchase of the book or from donation is going to be funneled back to the Global Girls Grow activity to help girls just like Nakaya, just like Taylor, Sangeeta, to bravely share their voices. And remember, it just doesn't happen on a one-off session. It is a program, an advocacy for things. So ladies, thank you so much for being here with me and joining Voice. I'm just about to say joining Voices for Impact, joining the show. It takes courage.
We can rename the show.
There we go. We're taking over, Dr. Jamil.
Oh yeah, we're taking over. Just send me the $10,000 Louis Vuitton bag. We can talk about taking over.
I'll work on that.
Okay. All right, everybody. And remember, it takes courage when you speak your truth, no matter how hard. But also remember, it takes courage when you speak your truth and being persistent about your truth. Okay, everybody, take care. May peace be upon
much.
you. Until the next episode, this is your host, Dr. Izdihar Jamil. And peace be upon you in the next episode. All right, ladies, let's say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.